everybody, so we've got a fun review today because we're talking about the final chapter in the Blumhouse Halloween trilogy, Halloween Ends. Since it is the spooky season after all, I'm always excited for a new Halloween film, especially after Kills, since this was billed as the actual final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. We've seen a couple final showdowns before, but this is actually the end-all be-all, supposedly. Set 4 years after Halloween Kills, Laurie and Allison are living together while Michael Myers hasn't been seen since. But when a young man is accused of killing a boy while babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror, forcing Laurie to confront the evil once and for all. Now, I went into Halloween Ends mildly nervous because it seemed like with this final chapter, it was going to be taking some bold creative choices to it from the promotional material, and the fact that from that same promotional material, we are getting a dual release where it's going to be in theaters and Peacock at the exact same time. So that did make me nervous because they did that with Halloween Kills as well, and that was also kind of a mixed experience. And after seeing Halloween Ends, I can kind of understand why they want to do the dual release model once again. It's a very mixed bag experience of a film, and I feel like this is going to be another entry in the franchise that divides audiences, especially if you're a big Halloween fan. As I said previously, this film definitely takes some very bold creative swings when it comes to the story it's trying to tell, because it is going for a bit of a more unconventional approach, showcasing these characters 4 years after Halloween Kills, and how all of them are dealing with their trauma differently. Many of these characters have moved on for the most part and are living nice, happy lives, but there are some other characters in the town of Haddonfield that have let that trauma fester, and we see the horrors of that on display in this film. It's a very fascinating approach to take here with this third installment in this trilogy, but I feel like that is one of the biggest problems that Halloween Ends has when it comes to its story structure, because it spends too much time developing those and other mundane things along the way, as opposed to trying to scare you or set up horrifying set pieces that we know from the Halloween franchise. Whenever we do have horror unfolding on our screen, it's awesome. Michael unfortunately doesn't wheel out as much brutality here as he did in 2018 or Kills, but there are still a couple pretty good gory kills mixed in among your standard kills you have in every Halloween film where Michael's going around stabbing folks. What really holds these scenes back for me, I felt like they weren't really trying as hard compared to the previous two entries to develop fear or suspense around Michael Myers. It feels kind of inconsistent compared to the tone of Michael Myers in the previous two entries and the aura surrounding him. Rarely do we see Michael skulking about and hiding until he strikes, or the fact that we don't really see Michael much at all till about the hour mark of this 2-hour-long film, which is very bizarre for a Halloween entry to try and hide Michael Myers from you. I mean, he's in the sewer for a large portion of the film. It's kind of very Pennywise or Ninja Turtle of him. I guess that's his home for the last 4 years between films. I'm a longtime fan of the Halloween franchise. I rewatch all of the films pretty much every year at this point, and out of all the portrayals of the character, this is probably the one that feels the most sad and old. Just in the previous film, we watched Michael Myers mow down an entire militia of people trying to brutally murder him with weapons, and now in Halloween Ends, he can barely beat anybody. Like, it's actually kind of embarrassing seeing Michael Myers lose a wrestling match and lose his mask in the process. Like, this is your main horror villain, and this is how you're going to portray him in the final chapter of this trilogy. At this point, I can only continue to praise Jamie Lee Curtis so much. Once again, she brings her A-game to the character of Laurie Strode. You can tell that since this more than likely is going to be her last time portraying the character, she did a great job here showcasing her growth, trying to move past her trauma, but she still is able to kick some ass when Michael Myers does ever show his face again. And after 4 years away, it doesn't get old seeing Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis face off against one another. They're honestly the main reason to see this film, because otherwise, most of the other characters in this aren't great, acting-wise either. I think the worst offender of them all probably is this new character introduced named Corey. You spend the first two films of this trilogy centered around the Strode family and their conflict with Michael Myers. It feels a bit jarring to just throw a new character into the mix and pretty much make him a lead character, and that's exactly what they did with Corey in Halloween Ends, and it just doesn't work. Halloween Ends just spends way too much time on this character and developing his backstory, which is something we don't really care about at this point. We're trying to focus on the Strode family, but instead, we're gonna have him have this romance angle with Allison, and Allison disappoints me in this, because you would think after everything that she's endured in the previous two films, she would understand the 25,000 red flags that this Corey character is giving her as the film progresses, but she just brushes it off the entire film. This This isn't even me hating on the actor. I think the actual portrayal of the character is fine. It's just the character of Corey himself just feels very out of place in this, and his relationship, if you will, with Michael Myers, if you want to call it that, just feels very strange. That character alone kind of soils the film for me, kind of ruins some aspects to the film. Obviously, I can't delve too much into the character of Corey because I want this to be as spoiler-free as possible, but I do think he is going to be the big thing here that's divisive and controversial about this installment. Looking at the grand spectrum of this Halloween trilogy, I have to wonder, much like with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, was this entire idea planned? Like, other than the fact that we got the return of Laurie Strode, we get the final battle with Laurie Strode and Michael Myers in this, was there really a plan here all throughout of what we were going to do, or did they just make it up as they went? Because it feels like to me they kind of just made stuff up as they went, other than the big climactic battle at the very end of the film. That scene alone was pretty epic. That's probably the best scene in the entire film, and I left satisfied watching it. But everything built around that scene I felt was just so odd and out of place. Many things are going on at the exact same time in this film, but it lacks cohesion. It just all around feels script-wise very messy, and it doesn't all come together by the end. Yeah, all around, Halloween Ends is a very mixed experience, especially if you're a big fan of the franchise. There are elements here that are pretty entertaining, especially if you're a big fan of the showdowns between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. I think you're going to be satisfied by that aspect, but there are other elements here in play, like Corey or the stuff with Allison in this romance, that you might not be a big fan of because they spend way too much time in this film developing that stuff instead of trying to scare you with Michael Myers action. It's going to be a lot of fun, though, talking about this in the comment section down below with you guys. It's going to be in theaters and on Peacock if you want to watch it at home and stream it. So make sure you share your thoughts down below once you get a chance to check out Halloween Ends. Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Were you satisfied with the conclusion to this Halloween trilogy? Are you happy with the final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers? Either way, share your thoughts down below because part of the fun is having a conversation with you guys in the comment section. Thank you guys always for the reviews. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so we update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. But next time, I'll see you guys later.